Hello YouTube, Stronki here with another World of Tanks tutorial for mainly for beginners, talking about the settings, which is one of the most important things to do and check out at the beginning when playing World of Tanks for the first time. Make sure to go into your settings and review all the settings that are here. You know, you might not do this with every game, but I definitely do recommend doing this in World of Tanks. And I will go over a few of the most important settings, in my opinion, in this game. Some that I just really recommend for beginners to, you know, set to their preference. So by starting, obviously, you know, if you want to censor offensive words in chat or not. Note that, you know, sometimes, you know, a automated censor thing does not always work perfectly, and some words can get censored even though they're like normal words. For example, there is a technique in World of Tanks called side scraping, and apparently the censor bot censors that message because of the word raping in side scraping. So it thinks it's an offensive word, but it's actually just a normal tactic, side scraping. It's not raping, of course. So yeah, you can, you know, do that. But, you know, if you are somewhat offended quickly, you might want to censor it. It just depends on your personal taste, of course. I personally just want to know what people are typing exactly, and I don't really get offended easily if someone says something mean to me in chat. So another important thing here is horizontal stabilization in sniper mode. Now this is very useful when you're driving over rough terrain in sniper mode. Like for example, a set of train tracks. Your vehicle will then move up and down over the train tracks, and what horizontal stabilization does is that your aim will keep aiming at the at the point where you're aiming at, and the rough terrain will not make your zoom go up and down. It will just stay consistent, so you will have, you know, your consistent aim. It's a good stabilization there for your sniper mode. I definitely do recommend putting that on. Obviously enable the 16 times and 25 times sniper mode zoom levels. This is just simply a must. You know, the more you can zoom in, the better, and you'll just be more accurate. Not on a statistical level, but you can just aim more precise, and that is always better. So I definitely do recommend that. There is something called restrict toggling the sniper mode in with the shift key. So some people prefer using the shift key instead of scrolling to enter and exit sniper mode. I personally can use both. I alternate between scrolling and using shift. But some people just don't want to be able to exit and enter sniper mode with scrolling and just want to restrict it to the shift key. That is a possibility. I do not use it, but, you know, if it is something you want, you can do it. Now, for people who have a high ping, if your internet isn't very good, I would definitely recommend using the server reticle, which will, you know, if you're aiming somewhere, the server might think you're aiming a little bit somewhere else. Like if your gun is traversing from left to right, if it's aiming, you know, the server and the actual aim will be lagged a little bit behind. So the server reticle will make up for that. But it is not smooth at all, because, you know, if you have bad internet, the internet will just, you know, cause your reticle to move irregularly. And, you know, it is definitely recommended if you have a slow internet speed. But otherwise, if your internet is very fast, I would just recommend turning it off, and so you'll just have a smooth moving reticle. That's what I prefer. Now, all the next options here have to do with the minimap, and these are also very important to me. So I would say display camera direction beam of the minimap on the minimap is very useful. It will basically make a line on the map to show where your camera is facing. Display arc of fire for the SPG on the minimap. I would do that as well if you're playing SPGs, that is. If you don't play SPGs at all, then you won't need it. Display notifications when causing damage. I definitely do recommend that as well. It is good feedback, and over here you can see the icons that will appear whenever you hit a tank. So it's either ricochet, critical damage to the track specifically, other critical damage, or armor not penetrated. And obviously if it doesn't show any of these things, it's either not a hit or you just did normal damage to an enemy. Enable expanded minimap features. I definitely have this on always. You will see names of the tanks on the map. That's always more information, very useful. Definitely do recommend this. There's some illustrated tips you can put on the loading screen, or just a mini-map. You know, if you're new, you could read up on some tips while the loading screen is busy, always good. Then these mini-map options here, I put them all on, which is show the view range circle, very important. You absolutely do want to know what your view range is on the mini-map. Definitely recommend putting that on, like that is pretty much a must for me. Show the maximum spotting range, that is absolutely a must, even though you probably won't understand what it's used for, but definitely if you are going to spend time getting better at this game and learning the mechanics, you will definitely have to have this turned on. And the draw circle as well, just put it all on. Now over here to the bottom left, you also have the option for battle recording. Now this is important if you want to save highlights of your amazing battles. You can choose to not record any battles, just record the last battle you did. So you gotta always watch out that you don't go into another battle if you want to save something or all. And what this basically does is create little replay files. They don't take much space up, but those replay files will basically be the battle you have played. And you can open the replay file with the game to rewatch that replay. Although, do note that most replays become incompatible after a big game update. So you might want to upload it to a website or something that will show the statistics. Or even better, if you have any kind of recording software, you might want to just record the battle using the replay system and put it on YouTube or something like that. Now below this is display marks of excellence. This is you know, a little bit of a achievement feature for like marks on the barrels that players have achieved. It's basically like you know, getting little stars and stripes on the barrels of people's tanks. Yeah, I put it on because it's just a fun thing to have. Now, if you care a lot about historical accuracy, although I do find it a bit weird if you're playing World of Tanks and while caring that much about historical accuracy, since you have tanks of all nations in different teams fighting each other, so that's not very historical accurate. But if for some reason you want to hide any non-historical camouflages, like for example this WZ I have over here has a non-historical football themed camo with a event that is currently taking place. If you want to hide that because it just bugs you out for some reason, you can hide all non-historical elements, so that all kind of like clown camos, as people would call them, will be hidden from you. So yeah, that were the general settings. Let's go to the graphic settings. You know, obviously you want to adjust your graphics to however you want to, but there's not a lot of super important things I want to talk about here, except for FOV. I definitely do recommend putting it as high as you can, because that will give you the opportunity to see more in a wider way. So that means more situational awareness. You better know what's going on around you. So I do recommend putting it as high as possible. But if for some reason it makes you dizzy or whatever, then try anything else. But I just generally, I do not recommend low settings, and I will recommend high FOV. Although it might cause a little bit of a performance drop on weaker PCs, since it does require you to have more parts of the game on your screen. Now there's also a colorblind mode for if you're colorblind and cannot clearly see the difference between certain colors. Try that, and you know, hopefully it'll fix your problems. Other than that, I do not want to talk about the graphic options. Sound options, there's only really one thing you might want to talk about. And that is the voice messages in battle. It says here commander and standard. That might be a little bit confusing. But basically, if you use standard, all your crews will sound like a generic American voice. If you use commander, the language your commander will talk in will depend on the kind of vehicle. So for example, if you're playing in a German tank, your commander will talk to you in German, saying, you know, we've hit the enemy in German. And same for a Russian tank. If you're playing a Russian tank, it will say, we've hit the enemy, but in Russian. And it adds a little bit of immersion to the game. So I definitely do recommend that for a little bit of immersion. But, you know, if you definitely just want to know what your commander is saying at all times, you can obviously use standard. But, you know, after playing this long enough, you'll recognize the other languages and what they mean. You know, you obviously don't know what they exactly are saying, but you do recognize them, and you know, oh, that means my engine is broken, that means my gunner is dead, and stuff like that. Other than that, you can also customize your 6th sense sound with it, which is a perk you can unlock later on in the game that will play a sound when you get spotted. You can use a few varieties, and you can also add a user sound and put that in a folder in your game files. So yeah, you can use a custom sound there. Controls I will skip because there's not really anything needed there, I think. Well, I mean, obviously you want to bind most things, but you know, if you just scroll over everything, you should definitely figure out everything. Now the indicators, reticle. I do want to recommend the gun marker to be a crosshair with armor penetration indicator. Feel free to choose any of the markers, but just definitely choose one with an armor penetration indicator. That is very important. It will help you see if you can penetrate the enemy armor or not at the place where you're aiming at the enemy tank. So that's just a simple recommendation. Definitely do that. And same with sniper mode, you know, you want the armor penetration indicator. Just choose anyone that has that. Up next, we're going to the marker section. Now over here you have 3 tabs of enemy vehicles, allied vehicles, and destroyed vehicles. Now enemy vehicles is very important to know what enemy you are facing. So you have the vehicle icon over here, which, you know, quickly helps you, I guess, identify the tank a little bit if you really get to know the icons well. It's not really that necessary, but you know, it's fine. The tier is definitely important. It will kind of tell you the kind of danger the enemy vehicle has. Vehicle model is pretty much a must. You will want to identify the tank and the tier as well, like I said just a moment ago. Player's name, not important in my opinion, so why would I turn that on? It's just wasted space. I turn that off. Health indicator, very important. You want to know how much health the enemy has. Now here's a choice of what you can do. You can obviously hide it, but why would you ever want to hide the health? HP left, possibility. Percentage, never. I do not recommend percentage. Absolutely not recommend this, because a percentage can always mean a different amount of health. Some tanks have 500 health, other tanks have 600 health. So the percentage, like 50%, will be 300 for a 600 health tank, but for a 1000 health tank, 50% will be 500 health. So it's very inconsistent. Definitely choose HP left out of total. That I do recommend, because if you have the total as well, it will help you recognize if a certain tank has a stock turret or upgraded turret, because a lot of tanks have upgradable turrets, and turrets after you upgrade them will give you a higher max health. So you see, oh, that tank has a lower health than usual, you know he has a stock turret, and very often that is lower armor, lower threat, and very good information. And you always want to know how much health exactly is on the enemy, because you want to know how much potential damage you can give them within one shot, and you want to know if you can finish them off with 1 shot or with 2 shots. So definitely do that. Now what I do over here, you can hold Alt for an alternative view. If for some weird reason I want to know the name of the enemy, I replaced vehicle model with player name. You can customize it however you want, and I also change it to % if for some reason I want to know the percentage, but that's only when pressing Alt. Now you can also go for your own team. I actually have vehicle icon disabled for some reason. I do not know why. Huh. Well, okay, I'll just turn that back on. I basically have kind of the same thing. Like, I don't really need to know the name of my allies. I just want to know the tank they're in. And if I really want to know their name, I'll just hold Alt. Pretty much it. Destroyed vehicles is a different matter. Obviously, if a vehicle is destroyed, it's no longer of much importance anymore. Although, it is still kind of, I guess, handy to know what tank it is. And the tier, I mean, you can put it on, but it's like vehicle icon is just a bit too much for me. I simplified a little bit, but it's still nice to know, oh, there's a wreck of that tank over there, and maybe, you know, you can use it as cover. You can see, oh, there's a wreck of an E75 standing around the corner. You can go there, you know, it's a big vehicle. You can use it as, you know, a shield. Player name, not important. Health indicator, well, obviously it's a dead tank, so why would you need a health indicator, really? Feel free to customize it any other way you want, but that's just my recommendations, how I have it set up. Now, battle notifications. This is very important stuff, in my opinion. Getting notified what happens in the battle. Any hits, any damage, you know. Information is crucial in this game, in my opinion. So, view, well, this, you know, standard, okay, you know, a couple of hits, you know, oh, that's a damaging hit, that's a blocking hit. Obviously, you want to go for advanced, because, you know, oh, an M103 has shot me, you know, there's an M103 there. T-34 has hit me and done damage. Or a T-57 Heavy has shot me there and shot my tracks off. That's much more useful to know. Knowing these specific things about the enemies that are shooting you. Same with, you know, all except critical. I mean, why would you not want to know if someone hit you? So if someone hits you from there but hits your track, it doesn't notify you? That's nonsense. You still want to know what's shooting you from that side, so obviously you're going to turn that on. Information, amount of damage. Obviously you want to know how much damage you did. That will help you identify the kind of gun the user is using, because some tanks have different guns of different damage. You want to know what kind of gun they have. Dynamic indicators change size depending on how big of a hit you've taken. So that's if it's 0 to 10% hit of your health, it will be a small dot. From 11 to 30% a medium, and over 31% will be a large indicator. So yeah, different sizes here. Vehicle info, I mean, do I even need to explain? Obviously you want to know what vehicle is shooting at you. Animation, I guess you may turn that off if you don't want the animation. It can help with performance, it states, but you know, I just have it on. Battle events, do I even need to say anything? Just turn everything on. Just turn everything on. You'd know all the information. Obviously it's not going to be filling your screen like this, but it's just a zoomed in view. But obviously you want to know what's happening, what kind of damage you got, for what, from where, what it damaged, did you spot something, did you track something, did artillery hit you, did you spot for artillery, did artillery stun something, you know, just turn this all on. The more information the better. Log, obviously turn it on, the damage you caused, damage you blocked is definitely something useful. Damage with your assistance, a must. Caused upon your stun, very useful. Detailed damage, I display it all the time. You can turn it off. You can choose to have a display with Alt. I have it always on. Events, all events, really just you want to have as much info as possible. And you know, for a good way to separate them, you can put received damage at the top, so the damage you received will be at the top of your screen, and the damage you deal will be at the bottom of your screen. Otherwise it will just get clustered together, and that will be kind of confusing. So I do recommend splitting them just to have a clearer view of your information. Now the last option here is the map border. Obviously I do recommend turning it on. If you turn it off, well, you will not see the map border and, you know, run into an invisible wall. So definitely turn it on, or put it on line if you really want that. Either way is fine. And you know, I have it as always highlighted, so I can always see it. Always want to see the map. When approaching, that is, like, you know, confusing. Maybe you're driving somewhere, then look back, and then suddenly the wall appears. So I just have it always highlighted. Those are so far currently the most crucial settings, in my opinion, in World of Tanks. Very important to just go over these before you even start playing the game, because this will help you so much. All the things I had turned on that I really go on in depth, if you have all that turned on and you're going against a player that has all of that turned off, you're most likely going to win from him, just purely because of how less information he has on his screen. It's really important. So yeah, I hope this will help you. I hope you found it very useful, and I wish you a lot of luck with your journey in World of Tanks. And yeah, may this help you become a good World of Tanks player. Have a good time playing this game, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye. Hey, thank you for watching this video. I hope you really enjoyed it or found it very helpful. If you feel like engaging with me in a more personal manner, feel free to come check out my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/StronkiTonki. I stream a lot of different video games. Mostly I stream custom content for Doom, like maps and mods, but I also play a lot of different classic shooters, but also indie games, modern stuff, and a lot of World of Tanks as well. So if you feel like watching some live content and engage with me and the chat, feel free to come join. We've got a cool little community here with awesome people, and we always are looking for more people who want to join the community and have some fun watching the streams and chilling. So with that said, my name has been Stronki, and I hope to see you there.